What's up, fellas? In the second video of today, we're going to be taking a look at some draft picks, some draft selections from the 2020 NBA draft that teams are already regretting. I did a similar type video the other day talking about trade and free agency moves that teams are already regretting from this most recent offseason. You guys seem to really enjoy that one. So in this one, we're going to now extend that to the 2020 draft, a class that has been incredibly talented. And already you can tell there's some teams that are regretting some of the decisions that they made or did not make in this class. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload every single day, twice a day. So if you're looking for the most consistent NBA content on YouTube, this is a great place to be. Consider subscribing. If you're new here, by the way, what's up? My name is Tucker. If you're enjoying the content, you can also leave a like rating on the video, and you can check me out at various socials at the bottom of the screen and a link tree down in the description below. With those things said, let's go ahead and take a look. So at number one, in terms of, these aren't necessarily in order in terms of importance, but we'll just kind of go through it here. The first draft pick that I think teams are regretting is LaMelo Ball ending up as a third overall pick. I think that if you honestly asked Minnesota and to a lesser extent Golden State right now, would you like to have LaMelo Ball on your roster? They would probably say yes. And I think this is multi-layered. I don't want to make this an entire LaMelo Ball video. He's going to get plenty of coverage here on this channel and otherwise. But you know, Anthony Edwards has been fine. I think Wiseman is a really talented player, and I think long-term probably fits really well in Golden State. But I think it's clear that among those three guys, LaMelo has shown the most, star potential and has had the best immediate impact. And it's not just, it's not just the numbers. It's not just how he plays. But I think there's a real feeling, around Charlotte and around LaMelo where it's like, this guy's fun to play with. And I think it's just adding a whole new level of excitement for a team in Charlotte that hasn't really had this level of excitement in a while. I think they've got a roster that fits really well around him. And I think that long term, like this could be someone that guys really do want to play with and could make Charlotte like a really intriguing, interesting team. And that is such a critical piece, such an intangible piece of what LaMelo is bringing to the table here. And I think that if you really honestly asked, either of those teams, they would heavily consider, taking him 1 or 2. I think it's less likely that Golden State would have because I think Wiseman fits really well long term. But Minnesota might be looking at this and thinking, you know what, it would be really nice to have a creator in the backcourt like LaMelo. And I think Golden State probably is thinking some similar things as well. So that one is going to be the quickest one we're going to talk about here. I don't want to talk about it too much. LaMelo gets plenty of coverage as it is. But I think that that is something that some teams are probably regretting, is either not moving up to 1 or 2 to go and get LaMelo, or the teams that had 1 and 2 potentially taking a longer look at selecting him, because I think he's been the best player in the class to this point, all the way down at number 3. Next up now is one that is kind of related to number 3, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And that's the Phoenix Suns selecting Jalen Smith at 10th overall. This was a pick that surprised a lot of people, and I gave the Suns the benefit of the doubt because there have been draft picks recently that I didn't fully understand, most specifically, taking Cam Johnson where they did. He's turned into a really good player for them and someone that really helps their roster. And so I was thinking, you know what? We've seen this before from Phoenix. Let's wait and see what Jalen Smith does. And he's had basically no impact. Now, obviously, he's a very young player. Long-term, he could be a really good fit. But I think specifically when you're looking at some of the players that came afterwards and how good Phoenix is this year with the addition of Chris Paul, with how good Devin Booker has been, they're a real team. Like, they're a legitimate, top 5 potential team in the Western Conference. If a couple things go their way, they could push to maybe make the conference finals, depending on how the postseason goes. And, to have someone like Jalen Smith drafted as high as he was and not be a significant part of the rotation is going to hold them back in doing that. Now, they've got plenty of depth, but there's, certainly spots in this roster that you would have liked to improve in the roster, in the draft potentially, and they were not able to do that. Specifically, as it relates to the next guy on the list that is the biggest regret of every team right now in the 2020 NBA draft, and that is not ending up with Tyrese Halliburton on their roster. I think Phoenix would have been awesome with Tyrese Halliburton. I think Detroit would have rather had Halliburton at this point than Killian Hayes, and any other team as well afterwards that felt like they could possibly move up to the 10th, 11th, 12th pick and got Tyrese Halliburton. They wish they would have done it. I think he's the biggest regret in the entire class right now. I made an entire video on him the other day. He's really, really good. He's super fun to watch. He fits so well. Like, every single team in the league will be able to find 20 minutes a game for Tyrese Halliburton right now as a rookie. He would be able to find a spot on every single team with his defense, with his versatility, with his ability to get into the passing lanes. He fits as an on-ball or an off-ball guard. The shooting stroke looks a little bit odd, but he's just such a good player, man. And again, I can't overstate that. I really honestly think this is the biggest regret of every single team in this class to this point. Is just that, you didn't get Tyrese Haliburton. You didn't get the guy that ends up probably being, to this point, the second best guard in the entire class. Maybe you could even make the case that he's the Rookie of the Year guy right now, depending on how much you like or do not like LaMelo. Tyrese Haliburton, biggest regret in this class, and I honestly don't think it's all that close. Next up now is a couple of guards that went later in the first round that are really helping their teams, and I think, there's a lot of different teams that kind of wish they'd gone and gotten these guys, and it's Immanuel Quickley and it's Peyton Pritchard. I mean, these are both players that are critical parts of the rotation. They can attack the rim, that just immediately have become like solid rotation guys, and it's an uncommon thing to find late in the first round, specifically at the guard spots. I think it's a little bit more common for big guys to come in, be able to rebound a little bit, learn NBA defense, and be able to just kind of get in the way and be in the rotation. But for these guys to have NBA level decision making, be able to make some shots, be able to attack the rim, be able to run some things, and specifically for Boston with Peyton Pritchard, just being a really solid rotation guy, and it quickly looks like a up and coming, really nice player there in New York as well. Both of these guys, I think teams are looking at this and thinking, why couldn't we get those types of players at the end of the first? Why couldn't we go and find someone that can help our rotation right now? For example, both of these guys are helping way more than Jalen Smith is helping Phoenix right now. Now, maybe that's a bit more of a long-term play, and you're trying to, maybe get a little bit more potential on your roster in the front court moving forward if you're Phoenix. I still kind of question the fit there with Smith and Ayton, but that's for a different conversation, a different Suns video altogether. But ultimately, I mean, these two guys are going to make a lot of teams kind of scratch their heads and wonder, what did we miss about these two guys, assuming their careers continue on the trajectory that they have kind of started here. And then related to that, is the last kind of point on this list is just basically any team that didn't move up to go and get their guy. I think it's clear that this is a draft that initially people weren't all that excited about. And, there were multiple opinions on this draft. It was, not a huge amount of talent at the top. There were talented players, but no clear number one guy in the top three of LaMelo, Wiseman, and Anthony Edwards was kind of, those are the three guys, and after that, who really knew it was going to happen. But I think it's clear that, there's at least 6 or 7 guys in this class that are going to be really, really good NBA players. They, maybe not all of them are going to be all-stars or anything, but they're going to be really, really good. And a lot of the other guys just aren't really going to be that impactful. And I think that there's a lot of teams probably looking at who they ended up getting, or, where they were selecting and thinking, we really liked this one player and we didn't make a move to go and get him. We didn't make a move to go and get Haliburton. We didn't, make a move to go up and get Quickley or Pritchard or whatever the case may be. And now we're going to be looking back on this draft as kind of a difference maker draft, is like the teams that got something out of this. And what for a lot of teams is just going to be a black hole of nothingness from this class. The teams that got something here, especially something that is significant, a potential future all-star, are going to have such a leg up on other teams moving forward because, again, in a class like this where there's only 6 or 7 guys that anybody's really going to want long term, if you don't get one of those guys, it's basically like the 2020 draft had never happened, especially as we get towards classes like 2021 that look to be very strong. And then whenever the double draft potentially comes into play, I think all those things are going to be a significant part of the equation as we look back on this 2020 class. So in review, we've got teams not taking LaMelo 1 or 2 or not moving up to get him. I think that might be the biggest, the most impactful selection or non-selection moving forward from this class, is just that, if Charlotte becomes a real significant franchise and guys potentially want to go there to play with LaMelo, and he continues to build up players around him, and he continues to be someone that looks like a future all-star, I think that's going to be one that people are definitely going to question, specifically as it relates to a team like Minnesota that needed help in the backcourt anyway with playmakers. Anthony Edwards has been fine, but nothing spectacular. And then I've thought a couple of times about how fun it would have been to have LaMelo in Golden State alongside Steph. But I think ultimately for LaMelo, he's ended up in a really good spot in terms of his own basketball development. But I think there are other teams probably looking back and regretting not going to get him. Jalen Smith at 10, I'm hoping that long-term he works out well for Phoenix. But for this team this year specifically, that's certainly a spot that they wish they could have upgraded or just moved that pick for something else, considering they gave up future picks for Chris Paul that could potentially, make it to where Jalen Smith's potential absence as a significant piece moving forward could be a bigger deal than maybe you might think it would be. Everybody that didn't get Tyrese Haliburton, specifically teams like Phoenix and like Detroit, that he would have fit really, really well on, that, they ended up with players that aren't really helping them. Hayes because of injury, Smith because he's just not playing. And then Quickley and Pritchard sliding, that any team that didn't go up and get somebody, all those things are pretty significant regrets from this 2020 NBA draft. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think are some of the biggest regrets from this class, or kind of how you feel about your team and thinking, I wish we would have gone and gotten this guy, or I really wish we didn't select this guy. I know we have a lot of different fan bases that watch these videos, so let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think in terms of what your biggest regret or your team's biggest regret potentially is for this NBA draft. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the second video of the day, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, as I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing. Check out more videos on the channel as a whole. You can leave a like rating if you enjoy them, and you can check me out at various socials in a link tree down in the description below. With all those things said, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.